Hey guys, in this video we'll be continuing the video tutorials on Python. We'll be going over Boolean functions. So we'll be learning about value returning functions that can return Boolean values. So if you don't know, Booleans either return a true or a false value, so it either returns true or returns false. So every Boolean function can only return one of two values, which are true and false. So you can use Boolean functions to test a condition, then return either true or false, indicating whether the condition exists or not. So Booleans can be used as flags, so you can check things. The best example I can think of is like if you're making a trading robot for like investing or anything, you can use indicators, or you can use price to check whether a condition is true. So if you want to be like, if price is above some value such as like $1.30, then you can set a flag to true. You can be like price is you can have a boolean called like is above or has, because booleans use is or has sometimes to say like it is something or it has something. Or you can just set it to like a flag, so you can be like boolean flag points to true, or you can say boolean flags points to false if some condition is met or not. So we'll do some examples. Other examples may be related to apps. You can basically say like, well, the user has entered its password, entered their password, and you could have like a boolean named entered password points to false, and then once they enter their password, you can set entered password to true. So you can use that to continue to like a next page, for example. You can say like if entered password or entered password equals to true, then the app can continue to the next page. So we'll just start here. So we'll just say, so I'm in pycharm again. So we can do a few examples here. So what we can do is we can start out with this code that checks if the number is even or odd. Just an example, so we can have a def main here. Underneath, well, we can have the function call. Let's actually just comment this out too. We'll come back to those. So let's have another function here. We'll call def. So we can say is even. So you can check if something is something or not. So here we can just say that is even takes a val. We can say if inside the function we can say if val modulus 2 is equal to 0. So we can say we can have a boolean variable here. We could say maybe flag points to true. And we can have otherwise, so we can have an else here and say flag points to false. And then after those are both done, we can return the boolean. So we can say return flag. So that's one way to do it. So we have our def main here. So here we'll just call is even. We can pass in a value like 2, we know it's even. Below all this we can have a function, we can have our main call. And I'll add that shift semicolon. Okay, so we have, what else am I missing here? Oh yeah, sorry, in Python you have to put capitals on the true and false for the T and the F. So now we can check. So we can run this code. What happened there? Okay, so we didn't actually print anything out. So we can also print does that work? There we go. So we can print the flag. So you can print up the flag as well. You can print whether it's true or false. Okay, so what's happening is well, actually we can put here val we can say value is in this, so we can have a string here, value is comma flag. Value is true, or we could say, whoops, so basically so that's just saying the value is true. That means returns true here if the value is modulus 2 is equal to 0, which means that it's the value remainder 2, so if we divide by 2 there's no remainder. That's all it's saying, which would mean of course that if you divide something by 2 and there's no remainder, of course it would be even. And if that's not true, then there's only one of two states in a Boolean function, or in a Boolean. So it's either true or false, and of course if the value is not, so the value modulus 2 or remainder 2 is not equal to 0, then of course it's going to be false, because that means it would be 1 or something else. Okay, so you could do this, or you could, what else could you do? We could do, instead of returning flag, we could just say if val modulus 2 is equal to 0, we could just say here, instead of that, we could say I'll comment this out. We could say return true here. And then here we could just return false. So you can just return true or false straight up. So here we could have return false. So this should produce the exact same thing. Oh, whoops, sorry, so that's unreachable here now. So we could just copy this, comment it out, print that, or print that. Okay, actually, we wouldn't have the flag in this case. Okay, so we can keep the flag then. So we have value is true in this case, of course, so it does the exact same thing as you can see. We have, let me just move all this stuff together so I don't have to keep squishing that. Alright, so hopefully you guys can see that. So we have our main function, we're calling this function here is even, passing in 2 for the value. So that 2 is going to be passed into the parameter for is even. So in this case we have if val, so if 2 modulus 2, so 2 remainder 2 of course is going to be 0, because if you, what's the remainder of 2 divided by 2 is 0, so of course the flag is going to be true. It's going to print that the value is true. So if we change this to 1, run it, value is false, because of course 1 modulus 2 is going to be a value other than 0. Therefore it's not even. So you can do this, you can return false, you can return true. What else can you do with Boolean functions? You can, so you return the flag. You can return true, you can return false. You can just return 1 if you want, if you just need 1. I don't think in Python it returns the opposite value automatically. In other languages it does. In other languages such as C and Java, I believe it does. But pretty much that. I think I swear there's something else. Okay, so there's a few things how we can call this condition. So we could say, so of course we can call booleans in a few, so we can actually call this, we can call is even in a function call. We can say if is even 1. We have a if is even, to take this, let's take these are the same thing, so we'll say, okay, we'll say is even 2. And we'll say print here value is even. We could have an else here, print value is false. So let's run that. So we could take this flag out. We could take this stuff out. I think we can take. We'll just comment it out for now. Value is even. Okay, so there you go. So what happened? What this is asking is, if I haven't explained it before in the playlist so far, in the Python playlist, all it's asking is saying if is even is equal to true. That's all it's saying. It's a hard concept to understand. No one really explains it, to be honest. Especially textbooks, they don't really explain it. They assume a lot of things. I don't know why they do it, just to see how long it takes you to figure it out, or they just do it to piss you off. I don't think I've seen a textbook explain this, to be honest. In all kinds of programming languages, they never explain this concept. That if you just call a Boolean itself, or in this case a Boolean function, so you can call something a Boolean, well I'll try to show that in a sec, but you can call just a Boolean function like we have here. So let me just delete that now. See how we made that Boolean function so simple? So you can create simple functions like that that get to the purpose. So you could have it check a condition. In this case, it's saying if is even. So if you just call a Boolean function or a Boolean value, a variable itself, it's asking is even equal to true. And if we have a not here, or we have a not, I guess. In Python it's like that. If not is even, then it's saying if is even is equal to false, of course, because the not reverses anything. That's true. So if it's true, it's false. If it's false, it's true. So that's what it's asking. If it's not if even is even, and it's if not is even too. It can get a little complicated, right? You might have to be like, okay, what is this asking? If is even, and it's going to take the opposite of that. So is even's a boolean. So if we just ask, as we said, is even, that is just asking if the function or boolean variable is true. In this case, we're putting a not there in front of it, so it's asking if it's false. So those are, you're going to see those. You may see those. In fact, a lot of code, they don't do this. I like to do this. I personally like it. It helps me understand the code better if I'm reading it fast. If I'm just looking at this, I'm just like, okay, well, if is even, I guess there's an is here. That must be a Boolean function. But it may, like, who knows if it really is. If you didn't write it, if you didn't write the code or you haven't seen the code in a while, it might not be 100% that it's a Boolean function. It probably is, if it has an is, but if it's a really important project for a company or something, and honestly, I'd rather just stick to writing it like that. But a lot of programmers, they just write it like this. So you'll see that a lot, actually, especially with nots too. So that's all it's asking. That's one way you can check it. Or of course I'll show the other way. We could just have like this, same thing. Should be the exact same thing. There you go, value is even, and a return. So put 1, value is false. So as you can see, we changed from 2 to 1, and then it printed false this time. Well, that's pretty much it. I believe that should be all of it, if not most of the concepts from a Boolean function, or a Boolean variable in that case. So you can return true. What else can you do? I swear there's one more thing you can do with this. Return true. You can. Is there a way to you can return true, you can return false. I swear there's something else you could do with it. You can return a Boolean variable, of course. You can return flag, right? As we did the first time. That might be all. That might be all. I think that is actually all. So for now, we'll just leave it at that. If there's anything else that I remember, we'll do a Boolean function video part 2. So I'll probably just end it there. Actually, is there a few more examples here? There might be. Alright, I think we actually have another example here, so let's have a look at what I have here. So this is, so you can use booleans for validation. So you can use Boolean functions to validate code. You can use it to simplify complex input validation code. For instance, suppose you're writing a program that prompts the user to enter a product model number and should only accept the values 100, 200, and 300. So you can design a code such as so pretty much a lot of things use booleans. Like, for example, this if condition really is a boolean in the back end because it returns a true or a false. So if is probably some kind of function in the back end in Python, in pretty much any programming languages. And they either returns true or false. What else returns true or false? Loops return true or false. Loops might be written as a function, a Boolean function in the back end, perhaps. They definitely have Booleans tied to it. But yeah, so a lot of things have booleans in them that we've already looked at, which except we haven't really explicitly returned true or false. But now we have. Let's do this other example here so we can have def main. I'm not sure if this is exactly a full boolean function, but we'll try it out. So we could have that model example points to a cast into the input function and say enter the model number. Okay, so we have a while loop, so that is a boolean. It checks a boolean condition, of course. So yeah, I think we've done this before. So we're saying while model does not equal 100 and model does not equal 200 and model does not equal 300. Then we can, okay, so you can have some code here. You could be like, okay, we'll print model is not valid. But let's just say it had to be one of these three values, 100, 200, or 300. So you could check a condition like this. You could say, okay, well, it's not this, then model is not valid. Otherwise, once you enter all the models, you could say, okay, well, you could pretty much repeat the process again. So you could say, okay, we'll enter another model number. You know what I mean? You could just check a condition. It's just pretty much a loop. So that's all. These Python docs really are just getting at. So if you have a condition to check, maybe I can make this to a better example. If you don't get the idea, so you could say, of course we've done the number example. Excuse me. We could have a boolean. Actually, you don't need to a type. So we could have a flag points to true. Here, actually false. You usually want to set them to false if it's not true yet. Some cases you may switch them around if something's already true. If you want to see if it's going to be false later on. So we can say while flag does not equal false. You can check if something's not equal to false. Then you could say, what's wrong with that, by the way? I don't think it likes those brackets. So while flag does not equal to false, you could use it. This is just an example. You could do something like this. You could do something. Can we not throw parentheses around that? Yeah, you can. Okay. So if so here in this case we have flag set to false. We're saying, okay, well, flag does not equal to false. Then of course do something. But in this case, flag is false, so it won't enter the loop. But if we set this is going to be an infinity loop until, of course, we change it. So if we had some kind of code workings here, some more processes, right? Just like we had some processing, whatever we were doing, validation, checking logins, something, validating IP addresses, something like that. I don't know, whatever, something random. So we could just check if the condition is true or not, or false. And of course, as I mentioned, you could you could just write, instead of writing flag does not equal to false, you can just write, if you just say while flag, that's just asking if while flag is equal to true. I'll just write that out just in case. While flag is equal to true, that's all it's asking. And if we say while not flag, then we're saying while flag is equal to false. So that should be pretty much all the Boolean concepts. So pretty much, yeah. So that, I mean, you can just use them to check conditions. This may not be 100% accurate. This is just an example. If we really want to get into that loop, okay, so we have flag points to false while flag is equal to false. Should print it here. Flag points to false while flag is equal to false, print do something. So we should be able to print this. Actually, do we not call main? Is that why? Main, def main, call main. Okay. There we go. All right. So we had to call main here. And we almost blew up the computer here. So there you go. That should be pretty much all the Boolean concepts. Should be most of them. Like I said, if there's any more concepts to go over, I will make video number 2 about Booleans. Actually, is there one more example here? What else can we do here? It should be all. Just checking my notes here if I had any other examples. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So we'll probably just leave it there. If there's any more Boolean examples I have, I'll make a part 2. In the next video, we'll be moving on to how to import modules in Python. So we'll be using the math class and some other functions. And yeah, so we're using the math module. Then we'll make some of our own modules, and then after all that, we'll be moving into what else will we be moving into? We'll be moving into, let's see what I have here. Okay, yeah, so we'll be moving into file accessing, writing data to files, reading data from files, and we'll be moving on to exceptions in Python. So we'll have quite a few videos to go, still a lot to do, lists, tuples, dictionaries, and all that. So if you guys want to see that, or more programming languages, you can subscribe to the channel. If you guys want to see investing or trading stuff, making robots and all that, subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.